So today we want to talk about the main agencies of socialization. But before we go into what the main agencies of socialization is, what is socialization itself? We say socialization is the process through which individuals learn the values and the norms of the society to enhance conformity. That is what socialization is. You learn the values, the norms of the society so that there will be cohesion and a stable society according to functionalists. I think socialization is clear.
Yes.
So that takes us to the main agencies of socialization. So the main agencies of socialization include the family, education, and the media. We have the religion, we have the workplace, but the main ones are family, education, and the media. So we're going to take one at a time. For families, family is considered as primary socialization. So for families, we're talking about the childhood, the socialization of that child from childhood to adulthood, to adolescence. That's what socialization is talking about here. So here I got, the family is usually the main agency of socialization throughout childhood and beyond. Then it takes us to talking about the mother, because the mother is important, it's crucial. So most of the time, within the family, the person that teaches the child how to do most of the things is the mother. So that means there's always a close contact between the child and the mother. So the relationship between mother and child is always crucial. That is one of the family, one of those members of the family.
Yeah.
I think that is clear.
Yes.
So that's about mother. Then we go on to the modern industrial society. What does the modern industrial society talk about? So, like I said earlier, socialization means a process through which we try to learn the norms and the values of the society so that there's conformity, and so that there's cohesion, so that the society becomes stable,
yes,
according to functionalists. So the agencies of socialization, we have the family. And when we talk about the family, we're talking about, it could be a nuclear family where we have the mother, the father, and the children.
I need to record me.
Nuclear family, yeah.
Okay.
The father, the mother, and the children. That's the nuclear.
Okay.
When it comes to uncle, cousin, it becomes extended.
Okay.
I think it's clear. So in the nuclear family, let's talk about the nuclear family first. We have the mother. The mother plays a crucial role in the upbringing of that child, in childhood and beyond childhood, because there's always the mother who trains the child, who tells the child what to do, what not to do. So the relationship between them are always crucial. I think that point is clear. So this takes us to modern industrial societies. How is family in the modern industrial society? Yeah, many children spend most of their early years in a nuclear family. Others are brought up by only one parent or by both biological parents and step parents or adoptive parents. So in the modern industrial society, when it comes to family comes in different forms. It could be nuclear family, it could be adoptive parents, it could be step parents. So whatever the case might be, they are all considered as family. I think it's clear.
Yes.
And they are in charge, they are responsible for the socialization of that child. Clear?
Yes.
So in the family, another part that is crucial within the family is the class you belong to in the family. You know, we're talking about socialization.
Yes.
And socialization is not just about the upbringing, it's also about the background, who the family, the class within the family belongs to within the society will also have influence in the socialization of that child.
Okay.
Do you get the point?
Yes.
The class you belong to, the social class you belong to.
Lower, middle class.
Yeah, it
Yes.
also have impact in the socialization of that child.
Yes.
And not only that, even ethnicity, the ethnic group you belong to. Yeah, do you get it?
Yeah.
So I go, this is a form for social class and ethnicity. I go, this is a form of social stratification in which people are grouped at different levels in social hierarchy. The social class and ethnicity of the family are also important. Children pick up the language and behavior of the parents and others in the family, which they internalize and become part of who they are. So when you talk about the family, the social class, we talk about social stratification. So the most important, how the child behave, what the language he speaks, his attitude or her attitude can be linked to the group he is from or she's from, or the social class he or she belongs to. Because the social class you belong to will tell you about your exposure.
Mm.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So in the family, there's ethnicity. In the family, there's class. In the family, there's a mother. So these things are crucial parts of what brings about socialization in children. I think the point is clear.
Yes.
So that's all about family. Now, the next agency of socialization is education. So for education, I wrote, the education system, schools and colleges are important form of socialization. They learn the formal curriculum and the expected behavior of them. So for education, what does education do? Or what does education do? It's about either the secondary or the college. So here, as a child, whatever you have learned from home, you bring it back, you bring it to the school, and the school will fine-tune it
Yes.
to become formal so that you can understand the expected behavior of you within the society and after the school. Do you get it? So
Rephrase it, right?
no, you know, the primary, the family does theirs. But when it comes to the secondary or the school or the education, which is the secondary socialization, it brings about formality.
Mm.
Because when you see the school, you know it's a formal setting. It's not like you are relating with your mom or your dad.
Mm.
It looks more formal. So there you learn conformity more about what is expected of you. And you could do this even with the formal curriculum. What you have to do, when you have to write your note, when you have to come to school. You don't have to be late coming to school. You don't have to make noise in the classroom. All these things are part of things that become part of you, even after school.
Yes.
So when you go to the society, you will have learned how to behave. That is about education. Do you get it?
Yes.
Then the next one is peer relationship. So for peer relationships, here I wrote, peer groups are made up of people of the same age and the status.
Yeah.
So we continue with the agencies of socialization. We've talked about families, we've talked about education. So we're going to peer relationships. When we talk about peer relationships, we are talking about the peer groups. Yeah. So here I wrote, peer groups are made up of people of the same age and status. In modern industrial societies, children are brought together in classes in school based on their age. They often spend most of their time together and form a strong friendship bonds that may even last a lifetime. So for peer group, you know, it could start from school, where you have your classmates together from grade 1 until even to grade 12, and even beyond grade 12. So that's why they said peer group might not only last for the school, it might last a lifetime.
Mm.
Do you understand? So the friendship might not just end there. The group might not just end there. It might last a lifetime. Yeah. So it is an agency of socialization because you learn through it too. Yeah. So peer groups are important in the adult's life, either as continued earlier friendship or in the new peer groups based on work, colleagues, or people people met through other interests. So when talking about peer group here, it is not only those that, for example, okay, let's assume that yes, after the school years, you continue your friendship and you continue to be in the same category because you are almost the same status. Or you are almost in the same age category. So you continue. But going forward, you start working, you're going to meet some group of people there. You have colleagues that you can they become part of your peer group too. You might even have people that you watch football together. That's because you have the same interest. They become part of your peer group. So this is an agency of socialization too, because you learn things from them. You learn about the values, the norms of your interest. You learn about the values and norms of the kind of friendship you are holding. So you learn new things, you learn new values. So that means it is also an agency of socialization. Yes. Did you get it? So that is about peer group. Then we go on to the media. For the media, here I wrote, in the traditional society, I'm going to talk about the traditional society before the modern industrial society. Okay. Here I wrote, I said, in the traditional society, the equivalent of the media is the oral storytelling tradition, in which stories have messages from which children learn. So in the traditional societies, it is about storytelling. There's no media, there's no television, there are no things like that. Yes. So it is about storytelling. Yes. And this storytelling is what you learn. There's always a moral to learn from. Yes. Do you understand? So you have maybe an old man around telling the kids stories about events in the past that they might learn some things from. So that is another way of socialization. Do you get it? Yeah. But now, in the modern society, it is different from storytelling. Nobody sits down to get story anymore. So the media has changed things. Now we have movies, we have novels, we have advertisements, we have different things through the mass media. We have the social media too. So it's different from how it used to be in the traditional society. So I wrote, today, the media are increasingly important in childhood as more children interact with the media for longer periods, as there are more films and television programs aimed at children. For example, sociologists have wondered whether the socialization of children by the media might be faulty or have negative effects. For example, children might watch violence on TV and copy it, thinking it was acceptable behavior, or they might copy bad language. So sociologists feel they are asking, has the media been positive, has the media made positive impact in the life of the children, or negative impact? They are making the analysis, or they are making the reference to TV, films that you watch, movies that you watch that are of violent nature. The child might learn violence and he sees that maybe what is acceptable. Do you understand? Or learn some bad language. Though these days, these days you check that there's always censor. To why is there censor? There's censor to put each child, each age group in order on what to watch and what not to watch. For example, Netflix. I have a Netflix. What my kids can watch, we have different age category for them. So they won't have access to others except for their age category. So things has changed anyway. So this is, for sociologists, they believe the media has done so much negative to the society in terms of what the children learn. But with the example I just gave now, there's censorship, which restricts children from being influenced in a negative way with media. And another example they make here is that they said children, in fact, research suggests that children might be thoughtful and discriminating viewers. So we shouldn't see it as the mass media or the social media has negative impact. Even the child himself or herself might be discriminating in terms of what he wants to watch or she wants to watch. Oh, this is not what I really wanted. I'm not going to watch this. Do you understand? Might be thoughtful, thinks about what he does or she does. So there's the media there, but the child can also restrict it. The child can also discriminate it. So that is the support regarding media. And also with censor, what I just said now, with censorship, it makes it, at least it monitors, it check and balance the age group and what you should have access to.
Yes.
I think it's clear. Yeah. Then religion. When we talk about religion, we talk about religious societies like the church, the mosque, and other places of worship. Children can learn moral ways of behavior, moral values. They can learn it from there. They can learn that through studying the Quran, studying the Bible, teachings and hearing the word of God. That could also make conformity in the society. I think it's clear. That is religion. Then we have the last one here, workplaces. For the workplace, we're talking about, for example, you getting a new job. So for the workplace, what I wrote here, for the workplace, I wrote that in a new job, people will not only learn what is being expected from them, from their employer, but also how to get on with their fellow workers. This means they need to be socialized. They need to be socialized into new values and norms. So at workplace, it's not just going to be about what is expected of you from your employers. You're not just going to work with your employers. You're going to work with colleagues too. Yeah. So it means you need to learn new norms, new values of workplace, how to relate at workplace. Because if you don't learn those things, it will be difficult for you to get along at workplace. Yeah. So that means the workplace is also an agency of socialization. Do you get it?
Yes.
Any question about that? Okay. So we go to inadequate socialization. We'll go to inadequate socialization. When we talk about inadequate socialization, this implies that socialization is not complete or ineffective.
Okay.
We already said socialization means you learn the norms and values of the society to bring about conformity, yes, or to bring about cohesion. Yes. So if you learn it and it's not working for you, then there is lack of socialization. So inadequate socialization is the same as lack of socialization.
It's like unconformity.
No, it's not unconformity.
Okay.
It is not. Yeah, well, basically, when you look at unconformity, like, yeah, it could lead to unconformity.
Like socialization.
It brings about unconformity, yes.
Yeah.
But here, we want to talk about the deep analysis on lack of socialization. And because when you talk about unconformity, here you're talking about people that have learned, that are not behaving the way they are supposed to behave. But here, it is not about conformity or non-conformity alone. It's about how you see yourself, how your attitude has changed, what interests you. Why are you doing things that are wild? Do you understand?
Yes.
Doing things that are not human.
Yeah.
You know, we said learning about you how to become human. Here, that is socialization, learning about how to become human. But when you are unable to, when you lack socialization, when there is inadequate socialization, it means you won't be able to learn how to behave as human.
Yes.
So for inadequate socialization, I wrote, inadequate socialization occurs when socialization is incomplete or ineffective. Children with inadequate socialization may not be able to fit into the society. So they won't be able to fit into the society. Well, to you might say it's not conformity, but it is more than non-conformity. It is a wild behavior, a behavior that is not usual. Or if he's stubborn, it's usual. But if he's walking with a fall, with both hands on the leg, it's unusual. So it is more than non-conformity.
Yes.
Did you get it now?
Yes.
Right. So example of inadequate socialized children are the feral. We have the feral children and the isolated children. So why do we call them feral children? We call them feral children because they have wild behavior.
Okay.
They have wild behavior. They are not behaving like human.
Yeah.
Those children that does not have that attribute of human or do not behave like human are called feral children.
Okay.
Then for isolated children, these are children that have been confined. They confine, that means they put them in a place, deprive them from human contact. They are unable to see human. The only thing they see, the only touch they have about human is when they give them food, and that's all. They confined them.
Isolated, yeah.
Do you understand isolated child? So both isolated child and the feral child will have inadequate socialization. Okay. The isolated child does not interact with human. He or she only have few times to interact. It is only when the person is giving him or her food. So there's no human contact. There's no interaction. So he or she is not going to even know how to behave in the society. So he's not going to fit into the society. So both feral children and isolated children lack socialization. That means they have inadequate socialization. Do you get it?
Yes.
So this takes us to the features of feral and isolated children. So why do we call them feral children? And what makes them isolated children? One, difficulties to speak a language, because they lack primary socialization. You know who feral children are? Feral children are children that might have been taken care of by animals, like monkey, like wolves. So they were born by human, but one way or the other, they find themselves in the where do I call it? In the forest, or do you understand? Yes. So they moved away from the human society. They moved away from the society. Now they are far in the wild, taken care by animals. So what can an animal teach you as a child? Yes. So the only thing you learn is growing up is learn how the animal behave. So that is wild. Do you understand? So what are those things? What are the features of feral child or isolated child? One, difficulties to speak a language, because animals do not have language. Yeah. So you won't be able to speak a certain language. And with primary socialization, because primary socialization is where the child will learn to hear and how to speak.
Yeah.
To hear and speak. You have to hear before you speak.
Yeah.
So it's primary socialization. So the child is lacking primary socialization in that aspect. So it's not going to be there. Two, difficulties to adapt to normal food. The child will not be able to eat the normal staple food because he or she is not used to it. He eats or she eats what the animals are eating. Yes. May not like to wear conventional clothes like this. Might like to use leaves of to cover his or her body.
Yes.
Not walking upright, preferring to walk on all fours,
Yeah.
walking with both legs, with the leg and the hand, because that is how animal walks.
Mm.
Do you understand? Not having interest in other people and carrying on, caring on what others see them and react to them. They won't care about what others say about them. They don't care. It's an animal. It behaves like an animal. So whatever you say doesn't interest him. It doesn't even have interest in people. Not to talk about their reaction to them or what they say about them, how they feel about them.
They see human as
nothing. They don't have interest.
It's like animal.
Yeah, they don't make a sense out of them. It is when you make a sense out of something that you reason about how do they feel about what I'm doing. They don't think about that.
Yes.
I mean, not learn to use toilets while they're relieving themselves at will.
Yeah.
Because that is, they couldn't learn, because it is through the primary socialization. You learn how to use the bathroom. You learn how to use the toilet.
You learn the system.
Do you understand? So these are the features of feral child or isolated children. I think it's clear.
Yeah.
So with the study of feral child and feral children, it brings about some questions that has to be answered.
Okay.
And what are those questions? Number one, how much behavior is natural rather than learned in a specific culture? So based on socialization, it means that we learn behavior. It is not natural. It's a question about, do we learn behavior? Do we learn the way we behave? Is it natural? Do you get it? Because there's a study of the feral child. There's a study of the isolated child. So the child will not be able to fit into the society, right?
Yes.
So now, how we behave, is it natural or being learned through the culture? Is a question that has to be answered. Do you get the point here?
Yes.
The second one, how do children who have never learned a language learn to communicate? So if you have never learned a language, then how will you be able to communicate? You know, we are trying to question the naturality about speaking.
Yes.
So is speaking natural, or we have to learn it through hearing and speaking? That's the second question. The third one, can feral children think logically? Can they reason? Can they? That's a question that has to be answered. Can feral children see how others might see them? Do they have interest in what you say about them? How you react towards them? Do they have interest in that? It's a question. What differences are there between a feral child and an animal, such as monkey or wolf? Does that mean it is interaction with other humans that makes more than animals, that makes us more than animals? So a feral child doesn't have interaction. An isolated child doesn't have interaction. But we are human because we have interaction. So is it because we have interaction that makes us better than animals? It's a question. So this is about inadequacy in socialization.
Yes.
Any question about it?
No.
Clear, right? Okay. So the next lesson will be on nature and nurture.